guys, welcome back to Royal Purple's Whip Check. I'm here with my buddy Andy Haley. So he has a beautiful orange BMW E30 with a big old V8 sticking out of the hood. So tell me a little bit about this thing. How long have you had this car?
We built it back in 2013. We originally went with a crate engine LS3, and we moved up to an RHS block with a Magnuson supercharger now. We're making about 725 to the ground, about 800 foot-pounds of torque. Due to our, we actually have small runners on the headers, and that's increasing our torque numbers quite a bit. We have a daily dry sump on the car. Woo! Everything was built by CPR engines. It's just a great setup, man. Comp cams, everything up top, RHS, everything on bottom, CP pistons. I mean, it's like my dream motor. I've been waiting for like this setup for a long time. We had the crate motor, and that was kind of a dream setup. Like, yeah, it's a brand new V8, you know,
yeah,
it's
right.
awesome. And then this was like the step up, and now, you know, yeah, I can't believe I own something this awesome.
Yeah, I mean, that's pretty much best of the best. When I'm like kind of looking around under there, and that was the first thing I said when I walk up.
It's so tight, like everything's stuffed in there. The engine bay on this car, the way they designed this with the forward cab, and it's designed as a touring car, you know, so you have a lot of space inside the cab, and that equates to very narrow engine bay here. So we had to get interesting with the intake, stuff the radiator in the back, all that stuff.
That's a big old V8 underneath the hood of a pretty small car.
Yeah, it is.
It's definitely shoehorned in there a little bit. But
yeah,
it sounds awesome. Sounds like it makes good power.
Yep.
So what do you rev this thing to?
We're at a 62.
62, okay.
Yeah.
So fairly low, I feel like, right?
Yeah, I mean, we don't make much power past that.
Yeah.
So there's not a whole lot of point in risking the motor. You know, you can just sort of sit there at red line, and with a quick change, we can just gear it properly. So we spent a lot of money here. We got that part to work real well.
I feel you. So, and what did you say the displacement was?
It's 7 liter.
7 liter, okay, so 427.
RHS block.
Cool. So what kind of clutch?
Clutchmaster's FX 850.
Okay. And then steering kit?
Steering wheel kit is SLR Speed, which is a great setup. It feels just like factory BMW setup. You know, it just like with more angle.
Obviously with awesome amounts of angle.
Yeah.
Cool, man. Well, let's check out the inside real quick.
Go.
All right, so a couple of Sparco Halo seats. So did you do the cage in this thing?
No, I didn't actually. I bought the car with the cage in it.
Okay.
And I did the tube frame front end and tube frame rear end, and pretty much learned all my fabrication stuff on this car. I did my first tube bends. My first welds on a chassis were actually these little tabs for the window.
Nice.
In my ex-girlfriend's garage.
Yeah.
So yeah, I learned, this was basically like my college education, this car.
Yeah.
I couldn't even change it. I mean, I could change a clutch, but I'd have to have help.
Yeah.
When I was done building this, I know how to do plumbing, I knew how to set up suspension, I knew everything that I needed to know about race cars, and sort of just self-educated and tried to figure it all out. It was a little bit difficult with this chassis because nobody had really built a professional drift car.
Right.
Before, so we had to make our own dual caliper kit. Fortunately, the front suspension is the same as E46, so we just use all E46 parts up front. But yeah, it's not a highly developed drift chassis, so finding parts for it and stuff like that, we just had to make something.
Yeah. For sure, and I'm a firm believer, and that's the best way to do it. If you want to learn and truly learn and be able to retain a lot of that information,
you gotta do it yourself.
You gotta do it yourself. You know what I mean? You gotta be able to figure out those problems yourself. So, no, this looks awesome. Nice little false floor. These must be your coolant lines running underneath.
What's that? Yeah, coolant lines, fuel lines, everything running through the tunnel under this seat. Raise this seat up a little bit for that.
What ECU?
Electromotive Tech 3, and that thing's way out of date, and we need something new.
Yeah.
We're moving to Linky, I think, on the new car. Because that thing doesn't do very good data logging at all. It only data logged like 30 seconds or so. So we put our Solo 2 in here, which is what FD is using, and we're using that to data log now.
Oh, cool.
So we can get some information, but still.
So what kind of transmission?
It's a Tex Racing SR1. Sorry.
SR1. So it's got the external linkage on the top. Is it that one?
Yes. With the links on the top.
Okay.
So I didn't have to cut into the side of the tunnel. I just did a little sort of 6-inch slit all the way up and made a little boxed raised thing in there, and that worked out perfectly.
Nice. So lots of tubes, and this is the feed to your radiator right here through the side.
Yeah, that's to the top of the radiator. We actually run our radiator mounted down below the fuel cell. So the top, I'd say 6 inches of the radiator wasn't getting any airflow, so I used that to kind of direct air just to the top section of the radiator. And you know, we don't overheat too bad. So.
Good. No, it looks awesome, dude. Lots of tubes in this thing. Yeah. Lots of work in here, man.
We got a Griffin radiator back there, so we got a good one in the trunk. So.
Good. Right on, dude. Let's check the back up.
Yeah. So it's a little muddy back here.
So I see what you're talking about with the radiator now. You said that you had your radiator underneath the fuel tank. And I was
actually,
like,
the old setup was underneath the fuel tank, because when I originally designed the car, the fuel tank was higher, the radiator was under there, and we had nothing back here so that we could unbolt the frame rails right there and there in case I smashed through into the car, and it could still drive basically as a hatchback.
I see.
So when we went with the bigger radiator, we couldn't do that, so I had to move it back here, and it's in a kind of a more riskier spot, but You know, you got to do what you got to do.
You got to do what you got to do, and as long as you haven't had any issues with it being there, like
no, it's been great.
Why not?
But you know, ideally, I like to keep that like crash zone. You know, just be able to just rip all that stuff off. You got your brake light up there. You know, you can still run.
Yeah, exactly. So aluminum fuel cell. So what is this?
That is the water sprayer for the radiator.
Okay.
That's been kind of finicky. We've been trying to get it to work. I have an electric valve on it now, but the problem is it keeps on wanting to siphon out. So once you spray it once, it just keeps going, and then they'll call us out if we're leaking on grid and stuff like that.
Right.
So I put the electric valve on it, and it works great when it's full. But when there's not enough pressure pushing against the valve, it doesn't shut. So it just leaks out again.
It just leaks out.
And I did that right before I left, and I was like, cool, it's good, it doesn't leak. And then we get here, and I spray it, and it just keeps going. I was like,
race cars, man. Race cars.
yeah, it never works right.
Race cars.
No, it never works right.
No, this is awesome. It is, for sure. And what kind of arms do you run in the rear?
The rear, we actually made our own. They're trailing arms, tube style trailing arm. We cut the knuckle off and made our own tube set, and then we moved the outside pickup point back 2 inches. So it's the trailing arm pickup points are normally angled like that, so you get a lot of toe and camber change. We brought that back 2 inches more closer to straight line, so you get less camber and toe change throughout compression. Right. But it's nice to be able to move that, because now we can tune in, you know, our side bite or our forward bite. If we're on a track that is, you know, extreme forward bite track, we can move back to that 2 inch.
Change it back.
Yeah,
adjustability is key.
Solid little car.
Well, awesome car, dude. I know we used to run, you know, a year or two ago, back when I had my 240, we used to run together, so definitely a familiar face.
I tried to beat you in St. Louis.
Yeah, we had some great runs. We had some great runs. Yeah, for sure. Well, right on, man. I'm glad you're out here, and I'm stoked to see you running this car. This thing is different. It looks great, as always, but thanks for showing us around, dude. I appreciate it.
I appreciate it too.
Yeah.